Uh, okay. So, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is enjoying their holidays to the best. Okay. So, Mozilla Firefox Club present to you a beginner's guide to app development and more. It's going to be a wonderful journey, and I'm going to be a companion. So, what are we waiting for? Okay, a bit of my introduction. I'm a core committee member at the said club. I guess that's a given. So, we'll start. I guess you all could see the PPT. I'm seeing chat. Yeah. So, what is app development? So, here is a nitty gritty and technical explanation for the same, but it really is what the word says itself. App development is basically developing apps that you can run on your smartphones and iOS devices. Isn't it exciting, man? Like you can make something of your own that's not available on Play Store or iStore and run on your phone. And that's what we'll be deliberating on more in this session. Basically, app development also utilizes the software development principles, but there is an added feature to take advantages of platform specific features. Basically, in iOS and Android specific features that we get. So, app development can majorly be composed of 6 states that is visible in this slide. I hope you can see. Yeah. So, first of all, you will just analyze what you require. Then you will design a UI UX. You will design the system. You will develop the app. You will test if there's some bugs or not, if the app is working currently, or if it's suitable for all video resolutions across different devices, and maintaining the apps with regular updates and bug fixes. So, app development is majorly of two types, native and cross platform development. In this session, we'll be majorly focusing on cross platform app development. But for intro's sake, let's see what's native app development. So, the native app development refers to developing apps for platform specific smartphones. You might have heard about Kotlin and Java plus Android Studio for developing Android apps, or Swift and Objective C for iOS apps. Native app development has its own pros and cons. Same goes for cross platform. The cross platform app development is basically a single code base for app that could run on various platforms. There are various frameworks available for this, like React Native, Xamarin, and Flutter. Flutter is the discussion for this session. Okay, so Flutter can also be used for developing web apps and hybrid apps, but that won't be covered here. So you can see this is the basic pros and cons of native and cross app development. We'll focus on cross platform app development for only. So pros: it's less costly, faster development. It's way faster, and Flutter especially. When we'll move to the code along session, which is the later part of this section, you'll see this in practice of how easy and fast it is. And the major selling point of cross-platform app development, a single code base for various platforms. Obviously, it comes with its cons. The apps are generally slower, have a limited functionality, and you can't really tinker around with platform-specific UI stuff. But trust me, guys, the functionality thing and UI is something that you can overcome because there are lots and lots of things and widgets available there. So once we have decided that we will be going for cross-platform app development, why Flutter? Because we could choose any other framework, right? So Flutter is basically an open source framework that anyone can use and develop his or her own apps. It has a faster development cycle by incorporating something which we call as hot reload and hot restart. This will be again evident in the code along session. And Flutter uses Dart programming language for making apps. It's a very easy programming language, and if you have experience with any OOPS language beforehand, you'll switch like this. It's very easy. And widget libraries. So in Flutter development, anything and everything is a widget, and there are lots and lots of widgets available online that will help you to customize your apps in the way you want it. So this the possibilities are just limitless. Why Flutter? We have gone through this, and these are some trends why Flutter is rising, as it's a platform by it's a framework by Google, so it's really popular. Or these are some popular apps built by using Flutter: Google Ads, Reflectly, Google Pay, eBay, Dream 11. Okay, so before moving to the coding part of this session, as indicated to you by our stories, you must have Android Studio and emulator running, and Flutter and Dart SDK setup. It was available on the story link. Also, emulator is optional. You could also use your physical device for the same. And this is images.zip is a file that will images will be provided to you shortly for the session. If like, we move on, this is what our finished project is. It will be a dice app which will click, which when you click will change the image. Okay, so let's get started. Mm, Let me share my screen. Just a second, it's taking a bit. Okay, I guess we are good to go. So everyone who will be following along, please open your Android Studio. Meanwhile, I would request my core members to please provide the Lucas with the link in the chat box for the images file. Please download the images available in the chat box, and then we can start. Okay, we'll be starting. So click on New Flutter project, and this will be auto recognized by your studio once we have set up. Uh, that would set up your Flutter with Android Studio. Then we can move on. Here you can like name your profile. For this session, I will be naming it my course, my dice. Let's say it's my dice app, and make sure the first letter is smaller case, otherwise it won't recognize this project name. Also, since it's cross platform as visible, you can choose which all platforms you want for the app. For now, we'll just keep it for Android and iOS. And for Android, we'll be generating code base in Kotlin, and in iOS Swift. And just let's just click finish. It will take time depending on your PC specifications. Okay, it's loading stuff. Let me just minimize it. If everything is fine, you'll see a big code base there. Please don't be intimidated by it. We'll remove it and start from scratch, so you won't have to worry about anything. And so this part is taking a bit much time. Sorry for that. Okay, let's start. So, as I told you, we'll be removing pretty much everything here, and it's not loaded. Just a second. It's taking. Okay. Meanwhile, those who have set up emulator also, they can start their emulator side by side. You can go to Tools, Device Manager, and I'll be using this. Whatever you have, you can just start up that device. Okay. For analyzing part is done. fully. One thing is there, if your PC is not very top notch, you'll learn patience with Android Studio. My bad, that's a bad joke, but yeah. Okay, so let's just get started. As I told, just okay, delete everything here. Now, you also remove this const keyword. You can see this Android Studio pops up with an error in my app. That is because it doesn't know what my app is, since we have already just deleted the entire code base. We'll get to it, so don't worry. I guess everybody will be ready till here. Just let me start my AVD once again. So no, it's running. Okay. So for people who have not learned coding much, this void main is basically the entry point of our app or our program. It tells Flutter that yes, whatever inside is there, you have means whatever it is inside this thing that will be run. So the run app just executes it, and there we have what we have to execute is this my app. So let's follow me and let just I'll explain everything as we go along. So start. uh, we need a stateless widget. What is stateless widget? So just let me name it first. My Okay. So stateless widgets is nothing but basically consider it as a snapshot. Like you have a phone screen and a snapshot of it at a time what screen represents. It won't change once it's built. Okay. So it will be evident once more evident once we finish the app. I'll show you what there are basically two types of widgets, stateless and stateful. How it differs, I'll show you when we finish that. Like it will be more clear. For now, just follow me. Okay, so we have this. Now it will return a container, so we'll remove this. Need a container. We need a material app. So material app, what is material app, you might ask? Material app is basically all the components and the design pattern that we'll be using for our app. Okay, so like taskbar, what design it should follow, taskbar, app bar, what design it should follow, what how the screen should look like, and that stuff. Okay, so it'll have a home, and that will be a scaffold. Scaffold is basically your entire pane of the phone that will be working for. And okay, so in as I told you earlier, in Flutter everything is a widget. Whatever you write, but pretty much everything is a widget. So scaffold is a widget and at any time, you might wonder what a widget is. Widget is like a tool or a component that is visible on a screen. Okay, and at any time like you feel confused what is widget is, are its properties, you could just press control on your keyboard and go here. Will tell you all its properties. I guess it won't be visible, it will be short in view, but you can see it. And if you select it and press control plus q, Android Studio will also provide you its documentation. So we won't get into that much detail now, just bear with me. So scaffold will be our widget. So it will have an app bar. App bar is basically the title thing that appears in the app. So simple. uh, Again, app bar will be made through a widget. It will have a property called title, and you could just title will be obviously a text widget. As I told you, everything is a widget, whatever you can think of. So what title would you want me to give it? Let's say dice app. Simple. And since we are returning it, it should be terminated with a column. And so the app bar itself will have a lot of properties. Text title is just one of them. You can even change the background color of the app. For example, let's just say for time being, I'll white. I want it to be light green accent. Colors dot light green accent is that attribute. Let's see if we run the app. It's working. First run will take time. Okay, people who will be using like their own device, be sure to turn off turn on USB debugging from your developer options. You can follow any Google article for that and just connect it. and allow the USB-C to interact, and you'll get your phone device name here, and you can run it basically the same way. Okay, it's taking time. Again, same thing. Okay. S- Meanwhile, let's add some more attributes to our app. Okay, so I'll show you when it loads. Till then, we'll just proceed. So the material app has a home property which we give as scaffold. Scaffold has app bar. Now, obviously, aside from app bar, it should have a body, right? Because we have to display something there apart from the title bar, so it will have a body. So for now, they give body as dice pane. Any you could name it anything. It's not uh, compulsory to name. Okay, fine. So the body is what will display in the white space. If it runs, I'll show you. Wait, let me just restart it. Okay. Oh, sorry, we haven't decided device dice pane. Oh, let's just do it. Okay. First we'll complete, then we'll see. Stop the process for now. We'll just slow down my PC. Okay. So dice pane. Dice pane should also be a class that will be displaying, or the better we can say it should be a widget. So this time we'll design a stateful widget and we'll name it dice pane. Okay. So as I told you, there are two types of widget. One is stateless, one is stateful, and you can just delete this const constructor as we won't be using its functionalities. So what's a stateful widget? Stateful widget is basically an interactive widget, like interactive snapshot that would change, like as based on some activities or code basis, it will rebuild like the like widget build. You see this function, this will rebuild every time something's changed. Okay, so let's just show you once okay, so remove this container and we can start adding our uh, properties here. I guess everything is fine with everyone. पैसा कितना मिलता है फ्लटर डेवलपर बनने का? Okay, you can just search about it on your own thing. So let's start. This body will first have a center widget. What's a center widget? Center widget will basically center your components in the middle part of the screen. Since we only have a single image, we'll just focus it on keeping it in the center of the screen. Again, it will have a child attribute, which will again use a widget, which is expanded widget. Oh, sorry, row widget, not expanded. Row. So row widget and column widgets are basically a few widgets that will allow you to what can I say? Arrange other widgets row wise or column wise as the name suggests, and they'll have a property children, which will basically contain other widgets. So we'll start with, and now the first children will be expanded. Why expanded? I'll tell you. Expanded widget basically tells the widget encloses to occupy maximum of the space available in the screen. For example, if you have a single widget, like in our case we'll be having only a single widget, that will be a text button. But if in case if you have multiple widgets and you want them to occupy full of the screen and do just a second, there's some background disturbance. Sorry for that. Yeah. So the expanded widget will just basically tell all the widgets to occupy maximum of the screen, so we don't have any blank spaces. Okay, so we'll just start with that. Okay, one more thing. It's set up, then I'll show you. I can just data analysis is showing some error. So I haven't given the child attribute. So a child attribute will basically be a text button. Text button is, as the name suggests, will be a button which can have text, but not necessarily as we will be using an image as its child. I know it sounds weird, but yeah, you can do that. So it has two properties. One is child and one is on pressed. Yeah. So Whenever you see error and stuff and you want Android Studio to help it, you can highlight the thing and press Alt plus Enter on keyboard. Since I have resolved the errors, the suggestions are not provided. Just let me show you. If I remove on press, X button will show an error since it's a required property, and yeah, you can just add it. It will be the method. Here is an extra comma. We'll just remove it. The child will be now. Okay, so it's good time that we start working on the images side by side. Uh, so I guess you guys have downloaded the file provided to you. So what you need to do is create a new folder. First open this navigation tab and here select project. In the topmost file, which is my dice app, in this case it would be different if you have named your project differently. In this file you need to create a new directory, okay, and call it images. This is a bit important, so I would like you to follow it exactly in the same way. Then you need to you need just a second, you need to copy the contents of that folder. I have it here already. You need to copy it and you need to paste it inside that directory, okay. I think you can see I've got all the images here. Be sure that this should be in the topmost folder, not inside library, this lib folder where we actually have this main.dart. Okay, and in test you can see we have some error. Why is it? Okay, remove the const modifier since we have done it in our main.dart and also I guess it should be fine. Okay, so I guess everyone is catched up till here. Now, once you have completed this adding this image, I want you to go to the pub spec.yaml file. It will also be in the topmost folder and scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. So, for using images or a lot of resources like dependencies, new widgets which are not preloaded in Flutter, you'll be working with pubspec.yaml a lot. And one thing to note about pubspec.yaml is indentation is very important as it could cause errors in the future. So for example, it has been provided how to use. I want to use some image and I have to include this. You can see assets and the images name. So I'll just copy this for now. Okay, should be below this. Uses material design, and I'll remove the hashtag and you'll get pub.get here. Just click it once. As you can see, process finished. If you haven't given the indent properly, you might get some errors here, so be sure to copy this and give indent. That asset should be in line with this, and the indentation between these two must not change. Once again, let's just do this, and let's go to main.dart. Here you will be given with a prompt to get the dependencies. Click that once, and yeah, process will be finished. Then you can click ignore. Okay, so here in text button child we can give image dot asset. Here you need to type the path. So basically you could also import single images if you want, and but I wanted to use, oh sorry, I have done a mistake. Just a second. You should remove this because we don't have a dot per image here. We have just the images folder and we want its entire content to be available to us. Okay, so just do pub.get again. This process got completed and here it should also be available. Okay, so now here we need to write the path to our images. For now I'm just using an images dash dice 1.png. Just make sure it matches with the name. Yes. I guess that should be it. Let's run the app. I guess many of you might already have it running. I'll just switch to my physical device if that's the case then. Just give me a second. Restart it once. Sorry. Data causes issues sometimes, but that's nice. Okay. So I'm going to return task here. You can also check for some errors for if your app doesn't build completely or build fails in this run console thing. Mine for some reason it's stuck at building, but if the app has some faults in main dot dart code thing, it will appear in this run pane and in console. Okay. Connect it. Let's take this solution. Okay. Then we'll let it load. Meanwhile, okay, one thing I forgot. You can also give the app a whole background color that you wish. So I'll be giving it, let's just say, uh, background color. I guess it's done. Okay, it's done. Now, just wait and let's just see. As you can see, I guess it's visible now. We have uh, the light green color app bar, which to be honest isn't looking very good. So I'll just change the color to light blue, and I'll just say, okay, background color I'll just use light. Let's just say we want the color of the white part of the screen to be light blue accent. Second, and just add a comma here so that there's no errors, and let's save it. Okay, so if you guys remember, I was talking about how fast really Flutter is. I made a joke of myself about that. Sorry, but what I wanted to say, as you saw, as soon as I hit save, the app rebuilt almost instantaneously once it got running. This is what is hot reload and hot restart. So basically, whenever of you use a stateless widget and some built icons and you press save, the Flutter provides hot reload facility for which you don't have to restart the app again and again and again to see the changes. If you, some of you might have done Android development, you might know how painful it is to just restart the app for small color changes, image changes, and stuff like that. For example, let's just say I change the image name here and just rebuild the app and see the image change almost instantaneously. This is the hot reload and hot restart is a different thing. Obviously, we'll get to that, but you can see how much it could means improve your development speed and help. Okay, so now we have this image, but honestly, you can. I don't know if it's visible in YouTube or not, but if you click it, you can see a ripple effect, right? And but it doesn't really do anything. Why so? Because this button widget has a property called on press. This handles what will happen when we press the button. So we need this image to change, right? So in on pressed, we write, okay, I guess I skipped a bit fast. In scaffold, you can give background color here in the above property inside my app. Background color, color start, light blue accent, a light blue accent. If you want to customize it to your own value, you can also have uh, color and 0xff followed by a hash value, whatever you want, but for now I'll keep it light blue accent. Coming back to our on press, so we need it to change, right? And also, like, it will be, even if you change the number, you also need the associated image to change simultaneously. So for that, we can't give image like always as dice2. We need it to change, right? Because the file names are different here. So what I'll do is I'll create a variable called int dice number. People not from coding background or which don't know much about coding, a variable is just to hold some value, and int is like integer type. So let's initialize it to 1, and here I'll use what is called string interpolation. And this is basically, for this, just put a dollar followed by two curly braces and uh, write the name of your variable. This what basically does is, in this string, it will substitute the value of this programming variable, this dice number. So as of now, it will read dice number images slash dice one.png. Inside on pressed, we need to change our stuff. So let's just write uh, change dice number. Throws an error because we haven't defined what change dice number should be. So you could just go and highlight it, press alt enter. Android Studio provides us, this is what Android Studio does very good, helping. And you'll just create a function, wait, or a method to, this is what it really does. Okay, so for Android Studio to we inside this, we basically change our dice number to, let's just say, okay, we need a random number. We cannot program it every time, right? So we'll be using something called random, which is a property of Dart language, and it will get imported from math library. You can see this import statements. For people wondering what import statements are, basically everything you use is been pre-packaged by developers somewhere in the net or some in some folders. So you basically use these libraries to tell your pane that we are using some of those functions. For example, I'm using here random to generate our numbers. Okay, so we'll just generate, we need from 0 to 6, so we'll just go with this. that next int, and the max value is basically till where your numbers will be generated. So, and also one more thing, keep in mind that this random will generate value from 0 to 5. 6 is exclusive. Okay, so we'll just add a plus one here, and this updates our dice number. So we'll just put a semicolon here and print it. Print our dice number just for checking that it works or not. Okay, so our logic is sound. Our dice should generate different numbers when the button is clicked, and associated image should change, right? So let's just run the app. Okay, so it's initialized to 1, and it's there. When you click it, it's not changing. Why? It's not. Let's see in our console. So as you see, I've written here a print statement dice number. So I'm clicking the image, and if it's visible, I'll just zoom it. See, the dice number is actually changing, but our image is not updating. Why so? This is what's the difference between a stateful and stateless widget. Once a stateless widget is given a state, it won't change unless you rebuild that, right? If I change the dice number here and rebuild hot restart the app, it'll just then it'll change, but it'll not change on every click. But stateful widget allows us to set a state for that widget. So for example, I wanted to change this, and it's a state as previously we defined dice pane as a stateful widget. We'll just wrap store. So to make it change state dynamically, we'll just have to wrap it around something known as set state. Okay, so set state will do our work. We don't have to. We'll just pop it inside, and that's there. We perform a hot restart. Note that major, like big changes in your app should always be tested with hot restart. As you can see, for dice app is working. It's changing dice states as many times as you click it. It's nice. Now maybe this image is not very visually appealing to you, because you might want it to be like centered a bit more from the edges. So we can style our text button also by giving it a style attribute, which will be a text button or style from, and I'll give it a padding of edge insets edge. These all are widgets and properties, as I told you earlier. And we'll give all. Let's just say I want a 30 zero padding, and you can see the result is a bit here. It was just done with hot reload, and my app is working perfectly. So we are pretty much done with the app. If you are running it on physical device, same procedure. I'll open developer options. Just a second. Something is going on. Yeah, sorry for that. But our app is pretty much done. You can play around with the colors, the images, and basically anything. It's open oyster. Also, for example, I showed you how we place this, right? So now if you want, you can, as a challenge for taking home, you can use this children thing. Inside children, I want you to make another dice similarly and implement the same functionality if you want. So that will be a cool thing to do in your spare time. I, that was it for the app, for the session. I guess this was informative to you. Flutter is vast, guys. You can learn as much you want to. Like you can explore the nets, you can try different widgets. I use the text button. You can use something else. Flat buttons are deprecated, but for challenge sake of it, you can just try it. And yeah, so there are different ways of doing things. You can also instead of making this my app 2 times, you can just directly make a dice view and make a material app here itself and just refactor code. So the possibilities are endless. So the app's pretty much done with it. I guess this brings us to the end of session. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. If someone has some doubts, you can just give them in chat. Will the recorded video? Yeah, it will be available. This it will be available here only. You can come and watch it again. Okay. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. That was it for the session. Have a good day. Bye.